In today's conversation, I'm joined by some of South Africa's most well-known male actors. Sitting with me is renowned South African actor Jamie Bartlett, best known for his roles on Isidingo and Rhythm City, as well as Ayeye star and film actor Thapelo Mokoena, Richard Lukunku, film and TV actor, and the legendary comedy actor Jerry Ped. The name is Kat Ramaphakela, actor, writer, producer at Burnt Onion Productions, and this is Showbiz Conversations, Actors Edition. All right, guys, thank you very much for sitting down with us today. I think we're just gonna hop straight into it. Well, I would just like to hop straight into something that maybe will let us know a bit more about your career path. What's the one character that would define each of your turning points in the industry? Could I start with you, Jamie?
Sure.
I was about to say, Jamie, you got a bigger profile, you go.
For me, I was the first person in South Africa to go naked on stage in theatre. So to go bollock naked and play with your private parts and kiss men or have a homosexual play about aggressive and boxer was a very defining thing because it was coming out of no 2 to 18 theatre, stars on the nipples of Scope magazine. And that was a radical thing at that time.
Yeah.
So that was one role that I knew.
What was the play?
A play called Cock and Bull Story, and it travelled. We just travelled everywhere, and a two-hander, easy to roll. So it's an easy theatre to really move into Pietermaritzburg and to move into Durban and to move up, and we went all around. And the other thing is, I think the other characters that define the racist Mike O'Reilly.
Yeah. That was big.
Yeah, and they're too scared to make it a South African white male. That's easy that you bring in a lot of this cheap import labor and we make him the racist. That was an interesting character for SABC.
And a very popular.
Yes, ironically very popular.
Yeah.
And then of course the role that's a much more soft cock role now, David Gennaro, because of PG restrictions.
Although he's still an ass. So
he is an ass, but I think the groundbreaking TV of Isidingo 1997, the content was much more true to the society we live in. What David Gennaro is doing now is real opera, and it's not nearly as iconic as that character.
Yeah. Roger, what was? You've also had quite a long journey in the industry. So, what is the one character that you feel? I think probably the most famous is from Emzini Wenzitizo, right?
Yeah.
But is that for you? I think that's for the audience, maybe. For now,
and for me too, it was the only character that I played since I started acting way back 1977.
Right.
As acting professionally on stage doing township theatre at the time. And then there were a number of movies. My first movie was Mtim Panales Mekala. It was a comedy series. It was me and Kit Stolle.
Yes.
That's where I started. Where I really got the breakthrough was in Mzini.
Yeah.
Yeah, that character related to me very much. And it
became it's an iconic series in South Africa.
Yeah, and I was free. I was given freedom to play with the part the way I feel it best. Yeah.
Well, have you always wanted to be in the comedy sphere, or do you think that has put you in a certain box to say, Mutona?
I believed I was just an actor. I could fit anywhere.
Right.
But unfortunately, the directors saw me best in comedy. Yeah.
Richard, you?
I think the movie that we did 2 years ago with Ernest, Tina Sobabili, I think that was the first time an audience saw me play something different, not the foreigner, as I usually get typecast as a foreigner. Yeah. For the first time I was playing a South African guy from Alex. Yeah. And that really changed everybody's perspective of me and
what
I can do. And people came with South African roles that they were offering me. So if anything, that was the genesis of where my career is going to now. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's that the role.
Any actors that start smashing their own archetypes. That's, you really want to get there. You know, you get so easily locked into an archetype. So that is a huge thing that's happened for you. Where you're playing a South African for the first time and you're accepted, and it's your movement and traction from then on.
And you won't be typecast.
Won't be typed.
Yeah, won't be typecast.
You don't want to be an ugly oak, white oak like me, but you're just typecast now. They'd never have a child on my arm. Do you know what I mean? You know, in the garden, spading, saying, honey!
Too far gone in the darkness.
I can smell the scones in the oven.
You, Ted?
I'd have to say it's two roles that come to mind. The one is Generations, which was...
Was that your first role? Was that your first TV role?
It was my first TV role.
Right.
I'd done commercials prior to that, and I just filmed the movie Drum prior to starting Generations.
Drum was before Generations.
Exactly, and the only difference is Generations premiered before the movie was released. So, you know, I do think that role really played a significant role in introducing me as a performer.
And it's on a big platform. I mean, Generations at the time, I mean, maybe not now, but it was the most watched TV show in the
Absolutely.
country.
I think it still is, but I mean, at that time, it was Generations.
Well, I think now, what's this, Uzalo.
Uzalo's topping.
Yeah, Uzalo tops Generations currently.
So yeah, it was definitely Generations. But as time went, I think that one solid performance feature film role that I think introduced me as a leading man and solidified it on film was Nothing for Mahala.
Right.
Purely, once again, because it
was a lead character.
It was a lead character, and it was also distributed across TV channels. So a lot of people got to see it.
Right. I think you've all been in films. Between television and this 90-minute beast, what do you do? Where does your freedom come in?
I'll put it to you this way. Our film and TV industry is growing in this country. We're stepping out of the comfort zone. We're telling stories that are off-center a little bit. What attracts me, at some point I really believed that it was the films that I wanted to do, the movies. I was, you know, that's the bigger format. It's just
You're on the big screen.
You're on the bigger screen, you know. Until I really discovered the beauty of series, and being able to tell the story not in 90 minutes, but in 13 episodes and carry that story through. It's more challenging. There's more twists and turns. I can't say right now I have a preference. I do want to make a lot of movies. I do want to tell.
That is still what you want. What your ideal.
I do want the impact of a beginning, a middle, and an end in less than 2 hours. You're in and you're out, and we've accomplished a mission. I do crave that all the time, but I cannot, for the life of me, choose between film and series, because I feel like they both have an important role to play in an actor's life, and we're only growing when it comes to series in this country. I think
Taps is what you say is important here. He's talking about series. Series is quality television. That's a totally different mechanism. It's a different form. It's a different genre of acting as compared with what we do, which is 4-camera, multicam, 7 episodes per week. You are churning it out at a speed that you just don't have time to even discuss, debate, interrogate any of the text, or even sometimes you don't even with the women that you're kissing. You've just met them 10 minutes ago, and you are going into an onslaught of collision. Whereas on series, you can build relationships. You also have a very definitive beginning, middle, and end.
Yes, sir.
So you have serious arcs that travel toward that end. You know, with ongoing television, you're going for a 10-year thing. You don't get those telenovela feel, which is why the quality is so stunning on what you were talking about.
I think for me, what's this? When we were at school, when we were in school, we were told that movies was where you wanted to be. That's real acting, and everything else is not acting. It's just making a living in South Africa. So we needed to concentrate on movies. Coming out of school, that was your attitude, you know? Yeah. You didn't respect your friend if you went to audition for Generations or whatever, because you were gonna be like, I'm gonna wait for the film. I'm the real deal.
Also, there aren't that many films being made.
Exactly, you know, so it was just the wrong thing that our teachers were telling us. My first gig in the industry, I got Rhythm City. I was a featured extra in your characters. I don't think you remember. But it was such an amazing experience for me because my last day, I got to act with him. Yeah. One scene quickly, and I asked if I could stay just to watch him act, you know. And the way he destroyed and built the script, you know, they'd give him the script, and this is what's happening in the script, and then the director was just like, okay, you can do your magic, and there he was, boom, 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 boom. And if you're not prepared, you can't act with Jamie, because you need to know what the scene is about. Otherwise he's gonna throw you there, and then while you're trying to catch yourself, he's already gone here, you know what I mean? So, and that started opening my eyes, you can act on TV, you know, you can really just like,
you can
mess up the game.
Yes,
you're good enough to improvise. You're good enough to mess up the game on TV.
You're an actor.
Exactly. You know.
That's what you should
so
be
it was
doing.
just the wrong doctrine. So I also don't have a favorite like Tapelo. Like if it's acting and you've got great actors to act with, bruh, I'm there. You know, because there's so much that you can learn from that. You know. So.
Rajeru, like transition, obviously from stage to TV. Is in today's world, is there still a preference?
I love theater more. More than film, because on film you act for the camera. You don't have an audience before you. An audience really come after. But on stage, the response is there immediately.
Instant.
Yes, it's instant. Whatever you do, you get the reaction, and it gives you energy, it pumps you, and that's why I love theater more.
But where is the post-apartheid comment on South African society now? I'm not talking about one or two plays. I'm talking about 15 good post-apartheid.
Where's our era? Where's
our era? What are we thinking? What about the new work that interrogates the very, very taut and tense landscape about race, about governance, about delivery, about what's happening in post-apartheid South Africa?
I think the problem as well is that I think that's across the board, right? I mean, you were saying the same thing about Isitingo. In what we see now, everything kind of may seem so frivolous. So you don't have those roles even in TV, because whatever
it's very PC.
It's very PC. Yes.
And in the theatre world, the stuff that comes across your desk is like, come on.
I disagree a bit, you know, because Tapelo was on a show now. Ayeye was for me, like, it was the first time in a long time that actually the first time on South African television that I could totally relate to characters that were on TV. You know what I mean? Like your character, everything you went through, I was like, man, I've seen that. And for a long time, that hasn't happened. You know what I mean? And you guys took chances. They did a lot of things that is not allowed.
I do feel we are at a turning point.
Yeah, we really are,
Especially more for TV than theatre. I'm not sure where the theatre space is at, but we are taking bolder decisions. I'm not sure if it's risks, because it's what's happening in society. We portraying what is. And I think, once again, it's deciding to not scrape the surface and go deep. But we have to be PC half the time because of broadcast limitations and red tape when it comes to language. For example, it's always puzzled me that we've got so many scenes that take place kumashibini and in bars in our drama series, but there's never one swear word. You know, like nobody ever swears in our bar scenes. Like, it's things like that. Like, there's never free speech or free language, and it translates across the board. Like, films give us the freedom to do that, and that's why it's so much more interesting to dedicate yourself. Theatre as well, but I'm not sure why the writers are not writing those kind of stories. Why aren't we?
Money. I don't think
because then that was the second question: is it rewarding enough for actors? Is there money? Is theatre I mean, I haven't done
Well,
much
is there
theatre. I've
money
always chosen
is there money in
film and TV.
film and TV?
Not really.
Well,
Can you live? Just
I think you can. A lot of people that I know are making a living. I think that it comes with who you are. And I mean, if you've paid your dues and you know that this producer is cheating me and this is what I want, and I don't care what you're gonna tell me because I know the game. So it's either you pay me for this or I walk off. A lot of actors don't do that, you know? Yeah, they don't know their worth. So you just be like, because you're not sure if you're gonna get a job next week, so let me just take this one, you know what I mean? But like, I think a lot of us young guys coming in are getting bolder. Yeah, we're seeing like, these guys are lying to us. There's no way you're gonna pay someone the same price in 2016 as what you used to pay them in 1994. That is impossible. That is not right, you know what I mean? But if you're hungry, you're gonna take that. I think it's shifting, like Tapelo was saying, the landscape is literally shifting. Now, if you're bold, you're gonna make money and you're gonna make a living. You'll be able to buy a house and have medical aid and all of those stuff, you know what I mean?
We need more of a culture of, sorry, I do not do that.
But a lot of us need to do that because it can't just be Tapelo and you that does that, and then Richard is okay. We wanted Tapelo, but we'll
somebody
go
will
Richard.
take it.
So you
you
have
understand
these.
what I'm saying?
You have like your saga, the guild, the Actors Guild.
Saga, yeah.
Are they? I mean, do you feel like that's a step in the right direction, or it doesn't matter? Because at the end of the day, everybody's got to stand together, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen with, okay, I'm going to fight for my million, but look, I don't really care about what you're doing, because that's what happens in America with
Like your
them
Fresh
being,
Prince of Bel-Air, for example.
Writers, actors,
actors,
unions are so
friends.
strong.
You
Friends,
brought up
same
friends.
thing, yeah.
They went and said, "Listen, we're all going to
Together.
get paid
We all
a
lead.
bar each for each episode. Either that's happening or
You know,
that's
we're
not happening."
touching on that on that interesting generation story.
Story,
again.
yes.
You know,
Of course,
these are
yes.
issues that are going to plague the industry.
Yeah.
We need to change the constitution so that we can own our intellectual property. But because those guys went on a strike, their contracts are changing. You know what I mean? When you're negotiating for your fee, you gotta say, okay, cool. How many countries is this gonna show in?
Yeah.
52 countries.
Same thing with
yeah.
Mnet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you know.
so here's the problem. To unionize is important. It's key that people get together and fight for common cause. But there's always somebody who's hungry. And even if you and I stand up and
Divide
say,
and rule, that's what they do.
Divide, yeah. If you and I say tomorrow we're not showing up for set until, yes, you're great. There's nobody. You're almost irreplaceable. That's how great you play this character. Chances are, tomorrow, if you back down and you say, I'm not part of this any longer, there's always a hungry somebody who's willing to say, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And I
Remember,
I
I mean,
believe you. But the thing
it's
is,
hard.
the audience is
We're
smarter
still
now.
trying.
So if we know there's nobody that's going to play David Gennaro like David Gennaro, right? So now, if all of a sudden he has a fight with those guys and he goes, 2 million people are gonna stop watching the show because I'm watching so that I can steal stuff from him, so that I can go on set and be like, so, just to steal his performance.
Uzalo is the #1 show in the country right now, statistically. But, and yes, Generations viewership did drop. But it didn't drop to an extent where they can be like, it is no longer
The
on
slot is
TV,
still
right?
valid.
Because that slot, people will still watch. So to them, I mean, I would have thought the impact of taking out 12 lead characters
Would have shut things down.
or 16 lead characters would be
But I
the
think
be all and end all.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show that if you're an issue, we'll write them out.
Yeah.
The audience may drop now, but they'll pick up.
We're too
sometime.
replaceable.
You know what? I think another thing is generation is watched because at the time people have nothing else to watch. That's why the perception that
It does well.
It does well, and the ARs are high, and the audience doesn't have power to change what they say.
That's the black channel. That's the Nguni language channel. If you're in the mountain in Lesotho, you're coming out of a mud building, somewhere in the Drakensberg Mountains on top of, you have got perfect signal on SABC1.
Sure.
That's how magnificent this footprint is. Whereas you can't even go around the corner to Alex and get beautiful reception on some channel that I may or may not work for.
I just wanted to say though, Kat, there is an energy, right? There is something in the newer talent, in the guys like that are still coming up in the industry. There is a way of thinking.
Yeah.
We don't sit together every week or every month, but you can pick it up. There is a way.
There's a change.
You know, there's a change in the way we see ourselves as personal brands. There's a change in the way we interact with those who follow our careers. There's a way in which we start to make a living off the spin-offs. Now, I'm an actor, I'm a presenter, I'm a filmmaker. The commercials have nothing to do with my offering. The emceeing has nothing to do with what I am, but it's become a good part of my spin-off business. So you'll find that in this country, you have to diversify. And the more you can do, the better artist you are financially and the better experience. And a bigger brand.
You know?
A friend of mine likes to say, practice makes permanent. Now, it's not about working it's not about being on Generations for 10 years. It's about doing as many different types of productions or characters as possible because you're honing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we make money outside of the studio, outside of the acting call sheet.
Yeah.
You make money outside of appearances, outside of commercials, outside of this. Yes, the films pay, but we need to start seeing beyond what we are. There are spin-offs.
Yeah.
So how do you become rich and wealthy in this non-existent, non-profitable industry?
Oh, I guess that's something that we, continuously have to fight for because this is the craft that we've chosen. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Right. In closing, is there any character or type of character that you would like to play that you haven't as yet? That you
question.
that would you ever want to play, Roger?
Yeah. I really want to appear on a different stage,
Yeah.
Because I've been doing comedy all my life. Right. I'm really looking forward to playing a serious character
more dramatic.
sometime. Yeah.
Do you have an ideal character? Like what? Have you ever thought of that? That this is something I would actually be good at, but I haven't been given the chance to do this. Or it's just to get out of break out of the sitcom
Just
mode.
something different from what I've been doing.
Yeah. To break out of the mold that you eventually broke out.
Yeah. I want to play Shaka Zulu, man. I've always dreamt of playing Shaka Zulu in the Congo.
Young Hendrik.
Yeah. My uncle used to call me. We never used to get South African television, but he would come to South Africa and buy tapes.
Yeah.
And then he would play us the tapes, and we would act it all out in front of him. And I was always Shaka Zulu. So it's been a dream of mine since I was a kid.
Been doctrine since you were a kid.
Yeah, get I'll get it.
Jamie?
For me, I would just like to play characters that provide a character that provides a platform whereby I can move an audience from the time I pick them up into a very different place that lands them off. If those characters come along, I hope that maybe I have an opportunity to play one.
All right.
I'm getting ideas, all right? A serious Shaka Zulu movie about blah, blah.
You got the cast. Yeah, I think in my case, I'm always conscious of being in the same place. I feel like I'm young enough to challenge myself. I should grow. I should throw myself all kinds of directions.
Yeah.
Like for example, I've got a movie coming out in 2 months. It's the last romantic drama that I will do.
Don't say that.
Why? Why?
For another 3
You're a
years.
lead. Trust me. Yes.
You're a
but-
lead, I'm assuming?
Yes. But I'm done.
What's wrong with rom-com?
Yeah, do that.
I don't
Matthew McConaughey stopped right for a while. And then
Yeah, I
he
think
came
for a
back.
while, even if it's for 5 years. I'm done playing the guy with the girl, the guy
You're so good at it. That's
the guy
He loses the girl and then finds the girl again.
The guy. I don't want to be the guy anymore. I don't want to be the guy. I think there's a lot of things that are interesting that are happening in my life. I think I can use my gray, my natural gray. I've started graying. I'm balding. I'm losing this hair. I want to play a psycho, guy. I want to play a guy who's off center, who's not altogether. I look at a beautiful mind. I want something. In fact, I am writing something like that. I'm not sure if I'll play.
Best thing to do then. This character doesn't exist.
Write it. So I've written this character. I'm writing this film at the moment, and I want to make my next film since Scaife. And I'm not sure if I'll play the character, but the kind of characters that I'm writing are the kind of characters that I want to play. Nothing safe, nothing normal, nothing people can get instantly. I need to take people on a journey, and that's what acting is, and that's where I find enjoyment, where I'm struggling to nail it until I find it. I think I'm searching for more.
On that note, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate the time that you've shared with us.
It's been great for all of us to be in the room. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, look, it's a cut.
Mommy, what are you cooking?